Hi everyone, another tutorial with Chataigne and Isadora. This time I'm going to look at how you can send some timeline control using color. So let's say you've got something in Isadora where you want to change the color of something or change the color over time more specifically, and how do you go about that? So I've just created a color here in the timeline under color, and I'm going to change a few colors. I'll start with red. Oh, need to click on that. There we go. I'll go to green, go a bit further into the future. I'll go to a different color, picking these at random. I'm trying to do it a bit too quick. Go to a yellow. Let's go to a black here, and I'll end on a red, so we've kind of got a bit of a seamless loop, which sort of makes sense. So there we go, haven't been too precious about that. I want to send this out via OSC. So let's add protocol, OSC. I'm not going to take OSC input, so I can get rid of that. I think I'll leave it on local, but Isadora's port is 1234. Okay, so I've set that up. So the output now for the color sequencer, I need to add the OSC module, custom message, and I'll just put / and I'll abbreviate color to / CLR. I could have wrote color or anything like that. Now I'm going to add an argument, and I want this to be a floating value, but there's only one floating value. Now technically there's 3 values actually coming out of this, red, green, blue. There's also alpha. I don't think I'll cover alpha. But what this is going to do is it's going to send one floating value, and you'll see it's sending data out, but that isn't enough data for Isadora to really do anything with. I believe that's just sending the red value, which is why we can see the red moving quite a lot there into green. So even though we're getting one value, that's not enough, and that is basically because of this little button here, this little link button. If we click it, it says from mapping input, which value 1, 2, 3 or 4, red, green or blue. So I'm going to leave that on red. I'm then going to add another floating argument, click this little link and click green. I'm going to add the plus again, add another floating argument, click the little link button, blue. And now if I hit spacebar, you'll see that the 3 red, green and blue values start working independently. So we can just see the blue coming in there as it's creeping towards this purpley violet color. Okay, so that's great. We now have some OSC going out, and we are selecting the red, green and blue. Why? May as well. I said I wasn't going to do it, but let's have a floating value and send the alpha as well. Even though I'm not really sending any alpha, it will still output a value of 1. So that's working. I'm going to put this on a loop so it's working in the background. I'm now going to open Isadora. I'm going to go to communications, stream setup, clear everything, because I did do a quick check before this tutorial, which is always wise. Auto detect input, renumber ports, and you'll see it's getting 4 values. Now that makes sense because Chataigne is sending 1, 2, 3, 4, but it just shows up as 1 here. I'll explain why in a second. We click renumber port, and it's going to start at channel 1. Now in Isadora, if I create an OSC listener, that's channel 1, Control C, Control V, and in channel I'm going to type in 2, Control C, Control V, change this to channel 3, and Control C, Control V one last time for channel 4. Now that is red, green, blue and alpha. I'll zoom in a little bit here for the purpose of the tutorial. So that is our 4 channels. Now I know this is all right already because I can see that the alpha channel is submitting a value of 1 constantly. So let's use a color maker. What I'm basically going to do is I want this color here, rather than me selecting it like this, I want it to get the information coming from Chataigne. But the color maker RGB in Isadora goes from 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255. 255 and everything makes white. If you combine red, green, blue, makes white. But we're getting values 0 to 1. Now I'm not going to lie, I could probably change this and change the scaling somehow in Chataigne, but OSC quite commonly sends out 0 to 1 or -1. So I know I could probably scale it in there, but I'm not going to, because what we can actually do is use the limit scale value actor in Isadora. Now I can connect the output here. I know this is red. I'm going to connect this in. Now what I need to do is I need to match the incoming scale to the outgoing scale. Now I already know that the outgoing scale is 0 to 255. So I need to say on here, the out minimum max 0 to 255. Now I'm not sending 0 to 100, I'm sending 0 to 1. So the limit minimum maximum is 0 to 1 here. All being well, that should be okay. I need to now copy and paste this and connect this value, which I believe is the green. Copy and paste again and connect this value, which I believe is the blue. Now I'm starting to see some colours that look a bit more familiar. And even though I am not changing the alpha, I might do in future. So I'm going to connect that to that. So if I move this over, we should now see that the colour being generated here is the same as the colour that's being generated here. So if we keep an eye on this colour in this top right, it should start to match the colour we're seeing here. So yellow, green, going to a lighter green, going to that kind of aqua violet colour. So it's basically working. I'm now getting the same colour out of Chataigne, and Isadora is receiving it. And once you're in Isadora, once you've got that colour, you can apply that to an effect, background, overlay. If you know Isadora, you know the score now. So that's how we do it. I suppose the bit I didn't mention was this window. Why have I got 1 here, and then how did I know to type 2, 3, 4 in here? Well, basically, this is the starting channel, and it's receiving 4 values. So it's channel 1 for value 1, but the other 3 values are obviously going to be 2, 3, and 4 here. So it doesn't show them in an individual stream. It's one stream, but we can siphon off the different channels. So if you ever see this and it says more than one value, so 2, 3, 4 or whatever, you still click renumber port and start at 1, but then you know that the other values here are going to follow on from this starting number. Catches a few people out, that one. So there you go, how to send colour data out of Chataigne into Isadora. Over and out.